Good morning, all. Today we will try to revise the topics for the SBQ2 that will be coming week. And the first topic that we have is 4.1, Darwin's Theory of Evolution by Natural Selection. We will mainly focus on the IPQs in this revision session because I believe if you prepare from the presentations and your book and you practice these IPQs, inshallah, along with the homework, yes, inshallah, then you will be able to score 100% in your SBQ. So this is our target now. We will try to finish these IPQs. So since the yellow IPQ, we don't need to focus more. It's not tested in the end of term, but we have already discussed in the class. Right now, we will focus on 4.1.2, 3, and 4. Number 1, explain using models and examples the 4 principles of evolution. So this is the KPI that is we have to see. But over here, you don't see the KPIs. I can see the KPIs on the other screen. So I'm just reading from there. So the first is 4 principles. So you need to know like the 4 principles. So the first thing that we have to know is 4 principles. And the 4 principles were number 1, overproduction, right? And then 1 minute, let me fix this screen. Yes, overproduction. Then number 2, it was heritability, or you can say overproduction that lead to variation, and then variation lead to heritability, and then this heritability leads to the last one that was reproductive advantage. So we have reproductive advantage. So these are the 4 principles. Always remember these 4 principles in your mind so that you can answer the questions whatever they ask from you. In this question, they ask you which of the following are among the conditions that are necessary for natural selection to occur. So conditions are right away next to you. So number 1, it says inheritable adaptations. So vary among individuals. So this is variation. Okay. So yes, this is required. More individuals are born than they can survive. That is overproduction. Yes, that's required. And then the third one is the environment conditions are stable. We know that the environment conditions are not stable. So this is not required. So based on these 4, you can answer any kind of question, whatever they ask from you. So the answer is 1 and 2 only. Moving to next question. Which of the principal selection is described in this statement? So again, same kind of question, but in a different way. Each fish give birth to hundreds of fish. So it means that more than they can survive. So this number 2 is asked over here also. So when we said number two was overproduction. So you can easily conclude from here. So this is how you work. So variation, you should have some variety. Okay. Heritability, they should have the ability to transfer the characters to the next generation. Overproduction, they produce more offsprings than they survive. And the reproductive advantage is that whoever survive, they reproduce and pass on the best fit alleles to the next generation. So 2 questions till now where they gave you an idea of the 4 principles of the natural selection. Question number 3. According to the theory of the natural selection, what is likely to happen to a population of the birds after the seeds they normally eat are no longer available? So it means that it's going to lead to food shortage. So there is food shortage, and all that is left are the seeds that are harder to crack open. So now the new seeds are very hard to crack open. Like as per the 4 principles and as per the Darwin's theory of natural selection, we always talk about survival of fittest. We say survival of the fittest. So survival of the fittest relies on environmental change. So always it depends on environmental change where we focus. The organisms are divided into 2 categories. One we say survived or selected. Wait, not survived. We will say them as selected for. Some of them are selected for, and some of them are selected against. So there is a change always, and in this change, we say that some of the organisms will be selected for, and some of the organisms will be selected against. Now look into the question number 3. They say that the species, they had a change in the seeds. Now the soft seeds are no more available, and the hard seeds are available. So environmental change over here is the seed coat or the soft seeds and hard seed. So anyone who cannot break open these seeds will be selected against. And the species, they might have ability to break open. They were eating the soft seeds, but now they can break open also the hard ones. So we can say that they will be selected for. So based on all this discussions, we will go and check the answer. All the individual birds would develop new beaks. Of course, that's not possible. They cannot develop new beaks. So I'm not going to read the next ones, okay? Because it's not possible. They already have beaks. They cannot develop new beaks. Some of the individual birds would try to develop new beaks that so that they could eat the seeds. Those birds would be more likely. Again, it's over here they develop. So it's not like they develop. We have the beaks. The birds have the beaks. They cannot develop more beaks. Okay, that's wrong again. Because the population of the birds is all the same species, okay? They all have the same physical trait, okay? No individual birds would have an advantage. This is not possible now. No individual bird is, it's not possible because some of them might have a beak that is not made for the hard seeds, but yes, it can break the hard seed. So we will go to the next option, and that's the only one left. I can choose it without reading because I'm sure A, B, and C are wrong. Now only one option is left, which I can choose it, but I will still read. The individual birds that already had, yes, see, that already have. So this is what I mean to say in A and B that was wrong. So they already have a kind of the beak that allows them to eat the seeds that are harder to crack open, would be more likely to survive and reproduce. So here comes the concept that we say selected for, and then it leads to reproductive advantage. So it leads to reproductive advantage. So that's what you need to understand how you choose the answers for any kind of the question. Okay, we will move to the next question now. Just a minute. Okay, moving to the next question. Which of the following examples best illustrates the definition of evolution? We know that evolution means change over time. So this is change over time. And always remember, this change is in population, not in species, not in organism. It's at the population level. So we need to say accordingly what answer can fit over here. A population of giraffe develops longer necks, allowing them to reach higher branches. Okay, that might be correct one so far. Then a person builds muscles by regular. Okay, if a person builds muscle, it's in his own life. It's not change in the population over time. It's individual. It's an individual. So this is wrong. A bird learns. Okay, again, a bird. This is individual. A single individual. Again, this is single individual. So as I told you up, it should be in the population. So the only first option talks about the population. So that's why that option is correct. Which of the following is correct statement about the relationship between natural selection and evolution? Of course, this one has been discussed so many times in the class that natural selection is a mechanism that evolution happens. Because of that, evolution happens. So of course, I'm not going to read any other statement. This is a very precise statement that we learned. Which of the following best explains the difference between the natural selection and artificial selection? Of course, natural selection is by nature, and here, of course, the nature is considered as an environment, okay? While artificial selection is by human, okay? So this is what we have to understand. So natural selection occurs in controlled environments, of course, not controlled environments. Um, this is opposite. This should be opposite. Natural selection is driven by environmental pressure, yes. And while artificial selection is driven by human. So nature, environment, and environment we always considered as pressure. Okay, I'm writing notes on the top. So B is the correct answer. Once I am 100% sure this is the answer, I don't want to read C and D. This is how you save time and you use your elimination rule. I don't know how you will apply it, but this is what I can say. So try to learn the ways which help you to understand the questions, okay? Now, question number 6, done. Question 7, which of the following examples can be can be used to illustrate artificial selection but not natural selection? We understood already artificial selection is by human and natural selection is by nature. Okay. In population of moths, dark colored moth become more common because okay, this is an example of natural selection. This is an example of natural selection, but we don't want to choose natural selection. We want to choose artificial selection example. So A is not answer. Wolves evolve. Evolve, again, this is natural selection. So this is not answer. Certain bacteria develop resistance. Again, this is an example of natural selection. Farmers breed. Farmer. Now comes the human. Okay, now comes human, and it becomes an example of the artificial selection. So that's the answer. This is how you use your knowledge and you apply it to answer the questions. Describe each principles of natural selection. We already know that there are 4 principles and they have listed 1, 2, 3, 4. You need to look into the diagram, learn those 4 principles. But over here, make sure they are saying you describe. Describe mean you need to write statements, not only headings. If you just say overproduction, heritability, variation, and reproductive advantage, that will go wrong. Now you need to learn what do they mean. So that's what you will write over here. So number 1 diagram number 1, what do they show? They show you that you can see a picture, and in this picture you can see blue, red, and green species. So number 1 is showing you variation. So you can give a heading and then describe it. Okay, how you can describe that individuals in a population different from one another. So individuals in a population, differ from one another. Now we will move to picture number 2, and picture number 2 shows that there is something happening, that the number is increasing. So you can see number is increasing. So in picture 1, the number was less, but in picture 2, number is more. So this is overproduction. And you can say that organisms reproduce. By the way, you can bring these statements from the previous MCQs. If you go to MCQ number 1, inheritable adaptations vary among individuals. This is variation. You can say this is variation. Then more individuals, this is what I want to write now. More individuals are born than they can survive. So I will write it here. Organisms reproduce more than they survive. Okay, so this is, you can bring them from previous questions. Number 3, there is a selective pressure now. Bird is a selective pressure. Bird is here acting as an environmental change. So this selective pressure is now going to attack on the bird, attack on the species. So what we can say, this is what we can say over here, selective pressure. Number 3, basically this heading doesn't fall over here in this these 4. Overproduction done, variation done, heritability, and reproductive advantage. Okay. That reproductive advantage is number 4. So over here, you can say heritability, or you can swap 1 and 3, by the way. You can swap 1 and 3. Wait, so 1 and 3. So 1, we can say heritability, and 3, we can say variation. And here we can say individuals inherit and inherit a trait, and differ. Okay. Then number 3, we can say that some variations allow individuals to survive against a selective pressure. So they survive against the selective pressure. So it means they are selected for, and all those who are selected for, they have a reproductive advantage over here, reproductive advantage. And they organisms, these will, these what they will do, they will reproduce, these will reproduce, and pass on the traits, pass on traits. Okay, so these are the 4 principles you apply on this picture and you can answer them. And for the consequences for evolution, if species did not vary, this is like when there is a change and they do not vary. Of course, the population will be at a risk of extinction. Population will be at risk of extinction because they do not vary. So no one will have selected one advantage and they will die out. Differentiate between evolution and natural selection and explain how they are related. If you go back to question number, there was a question, yeah, question number 5, okay, and question number 6. So yes, question number 5 and question number 6. 5 basically mainly, not 6. Yes, question number 5 can help you out over here. So natural selection is the mechanism by evolution occurs. So you can understand this one once I will share the answer key for this IPQs. You can read out there that you need to define evolution. Evolution is a change in population over time, while natural selection is a mechanism through which evolution happens. So the organisms, those undergo through natural selection. So in the explanation, you will say like whenever the organisms have a pressure, there is a selective pressure. So those who survive, they reproduce and they pass on the alleles, they pass on traits to next generation. And these selected organisms, it means that they have gone through evolution. So you can say it in the final conclusion. So it means that natural selection is the mechanism by which evolution occurs. Moving to topic 4.2. 4.2 deals more about evidences of evolution. This is again like you need to identify what kind of evolution evidence you have. So we have a lot of evidences. One of those is fossils. So let us first list the evidences. We studied the evidences as fossils. After that, we studied the evidences as comparative anatomy. Comparative anatomy. And in the comparative anatomy, we studied homologous structures. We studied homologous structures. We studied analogous structures, and we studied vestigial structures. Along with that, along with the other evidences, we studied comparative molecular biology, comparative molecular biology, which is the best evidence we have. And whenever they say that you are talking about DNA, you are talking about amino acids, or you are talking about protein, and you are taking it as an evidence, it means this evidence is a molecular evidence, and this is one of the best evidence you can use. Then we also studied distribution, geographical distribution, and these are the evidences that you can use. I will see any other evidence, like I will recall. Yeah, one more evidence was there, that is comparative embryology. Now, what you have to do when you are learning them, try to identify that how you will use the information, like what kind of evidence is shown to you in the exam. Maybe they show you, for example, okay, I will give you more hints. How do fossils? Now, fossils normally they show the fossils as rocks or mummies, like mummies, statues, rocks, these all show as fossils. Now, how do fossils provide evidence that evolution has happened on Earth? So we will say that fossils show that animals and plants have common ancestor. Of course, no. Fossils show how life forms present today are different from others. Yes, this is what we understand from the fossils. Fossils show that dinosaurs have evolved after mammals. No, because we always learn that dinosaurs have evolved into birds, and birds are even before mammals. So this is wrong. Fossils show that genetic variations are very important to evolution. We don't have any idea from here. So of course, the fossils help us to understand that the present species are different from their ancestors. We move to Now we move to the next question. Which of the following example best demonstrates how fossils and the fossil record support the Darwin's theory of the descent of the modern species from ancient ancestor? Descent of the modern species, it means that the new species have the best trait and they are coming from ancient common ancestor, means you should say something related to homologous structures. Homologous structures, like the structures that same structure but different function. Okay. Fossils of early whales show that they have hind limbs, suggesting that they evolved from the land-dwelling mammals. This is a very common concept. Also, we know it, but let's keep it hold. We read the next questions. Fossils of modern birds look exactly the same as the fossils of the ancient dinosaur. They are not exactly same. No, they are similar, but not exactly same. So this is where it goes wrong. If it says that the fossils of the modern birds, they look somewhat similar, yes, you can say that. Fossil evidence shows that all the species appeared at the same time. No. Fossils of the ancient plants are found not only in the tropical areas, but and also they show no change over time. Of course, this is wrong. So only we are left with option A. That makes sense, and that's the answer. Which of the following statement correctly differentiate between derived characters and ancestral characters? Okay. Derived character is any character that they get in their own life, and it is very specific to a species. While ancestral character is coming from common ancestor. So coming from common ancestor. So this is how you define them. So point number A, derived characters are found in both. No, not common ancestor. It is only in their own life. So it means that it is in specific species. So it's in the specific species, not in the in all the organisms and the common ancestors. Okay. So this is in specific species. So A is wrong. Sorry. Wait. I need to read again. I missed something. 1 minute. I read it's mixed up. Okay, so A, Derived traits are inherited from common ancestors. No, we just said they are only in their own life. Okay. Ancestral traits are found in both common ancestors and its descendants. Yes. Ancestral traits are the one which comes in all the organisms, while the derived traits are unique to certain descendants. As we said over here, they are in their own life. They are in specific species. So it means that they are very unique. Yes, that's correct. So next, I don't want to read because I reached to my answer and I'm 100% sure that this is the answer. But for your sake, I will read and I will tell you what's wrong with this. Derived traits are shared by all species. No, we said that they are specific species. And ancestral traits develop after species diverge. No, ancestral traits are the one which are already coming from the common ancestor. They don't come after divergence. Similarities in bone arrangement. Similarities in the bone arrangement support the hypothesis that these organisms. So similarities in arrangement, it is homologous structure. And we studied recently in topic 4.3, where we said that homologous structures come as a result of common ancestors. So those homologous structures, they have a common ancestor. So you can easily see what is the answer going to be here. It's not difficult anymore. And this is what I told you. This is the common ancestor in the center, and they evolve into many type of the new species. This is what we studied it in topic 4.3, and this was called as divergent evolution, or we also named it as adaptive radiation. So we said this concept is adaptive radiation. So easily we can pick that the answer is D. Blind mole rats have tiny eyes covered by a thin layer of the skin, making the eyes useless. The eyes are an example of what? So over here, see, we learned the concept when something was present in ancestors and it was functional, but now if it is useless. So they are blind moles. They are blind. Blind means they cannot see, but they have eyes. So it means that eyes have no role. No role. Or maybe they were functional in ancestors, but now they have no role. It means that they turned into what? Vestigial structures. Analogous structures are those different, different structures, different structures, but same function. Like wing of the bird and the wing of the bat, we said. So they have the same function, so they are analogous structures. Camouflage, when they blend with their background. And mimicry is like when they copy someone. So this is like copying, and this is blending. Okay, and vestigial is like no more functional, it's useless structure now. The wing of the bat, and we just said now in the previous example, I told you here, when I was saying, so I said wing of bat and wing of mosquito or wing of insect. Okay, they have the same function, so it means it's analogous structure. Then question number 17, which of the following best demonstrates how geographical distribution provides the evidence for evolution? So first of all, we need to know what do the geographical distribution mean? Geographical distribution mean like how they are spread about, how they are uh, distributed across the world. Okay, so the same species of the mammals are found on different continents. Normally, geographical distribution, if you remember the example of the finches, and they have different beaks. They have different beaks on different islands. This is called as geographical distribution island. So this is what we say as geographical distribution. It means that they are adapted to certain features and they are found only in some places, not all over the world, not in all the continents, not in all the areas. So based on this, you can read and you can go through the answers, but right now the answer will be B. that says that unique species of the marsupial, such as kangaroos, are found only in Australia, suggesting that they evolved in isolation after the continent separated. So now they are very specific to that area. That's what we say as geographical distribution. Which of the following is the best example of adaptation? Now here we need to learn what does the adaptation mean. So this will tell you also the definition. So adaptation means any character that help the organism to survive. So, okay, we will see. A group of deer migrates to a warmer region during winter. This is migration. This is migration. Okay. A bird learns. This is behavior. Okay. Then polar bears have thick fur and layer of fat to insulate. So now they are making the benefit of a feature. Okay, so they have thick fur which help them to insulate them in cold weather. Yes, this is adaptation. So like for example, as cactus has spiny leaves, so to prevent the water loss, that is an adaptation. The elephant, sorry, the camel has to store water. That's an adaptation. A tree is planted in poor soil and provided with required. No, this is not adaptation. So answer is C. Which of the following statement is or are true about mimicry? We need to see true. So mimicry. Mimicry, it increases the fitness of an organism. Yes, of course, it helps in the fitness. Correct. We have it allows an organism to blend. Yes, it blending. No, wait. What did we do for blending? Blending over here, we said it's copying. Okay, so no, that is camouflage. Sorry, blending, we said it is camouflage. So this is not answer. This is camouflage. And then we have number 3, it will enable an organism to resemble. Yes, this is what we said, copying. Yes, that's correct. So 1 and 3 only. Which of the following is correctly describes the camouflage? Now we know camouflage is like when they blend with the environment. So you can easily choose over here, having white fur that blend. Use the word blend. You can easily see over here. You need to look for the typical specific words, blend. Yes, I'm just going for this answer. Then there are the complete the table below to describe the 3 types of the structures. You can learn them from uh, the practice sheet, the answers when I will share with you. But of course, homologous structures, you have the organs or the structures with same structure. But please don't write these short answers in the exam. You need to write them in proper statements. So similar structures with different functions, with different functions, and then also learn one example, okay, in different species. And remember that these are in different species. So same structures with different functions in different species, which are inherited from common ancestor. From common ancestor. Always remember, you have to say in this one common ancestor. Analogous structures, now it will be different. So they have different structures. So you can say that structures are parts of the body. You can also say parts of body that have same function. Now here we say same function but different structures and no common ancestor. Different structures and not not inherited from common ancestor. Now vestigial structures, we already had an example up over here. Vestigial structure, where was that? It was vestigial. Where did I say vestigial structure? Not similar. This is the definition example of analogous. You can have more. Then there was one question we did for the vestigial. Yeah, here, this one. So the blind mold, so you can put the example as in the vestigial structures, like the structures that are reduced forms. So you can say over here structures with reduced forms or no function, then you can say them as um, vestigial. You need now to match them. Okay, you can match them. So matching comparative molecular biology. Molecular mean I told you DNA, protein, or amino acid. Anything like this, you can just go for that. Um, we will see that what does it says. Comparative embryology, when you look for the embryos, so comparing early and pre-birth stages. Okay, so this is C. The fossil recalled. Fossil recalled is like you check for the dead remains. So here it is the remains. So I'm going for this one as A. You always look for a keyword like early birth stage embryo, remains, fossils. Common ancestry in, okay, the reduced form. So this is vestigial structure. So D is the common ancestry that shows the metabolic. So this is the comparative molecular biology. You need to identify these pictures. The rock, okay, this is a rock. So this is the fossil. Okay, so this is fossil. Then the two hands, it means they are same structures. So this is homologous. The embryo, embryology. Okay, the hind limb of in the whale, that's the vestigial. Like this is the organ that's present but with no function. And then this is comparative, because we have the DNA sequence over here. So this is comparative molecular biology. Okay, so you can answer them over here. Types of the evidence is very easily. Going down in the table below, write the letter. Mimicry is copying. So the harmless snake evolved its appearance look like. Look like mean copy. Okay, so this is mimicry. MRSA, it's resistance, but bacteria. This is the antibiotic resistance. And camouflage, they blend. Look, I'm not reading them, but I'm looking for the keywords: blend, copy, resistant, difficult to kill them. So this is how all these help me to get the answer. Okay, now the last one, shaping the evolutionary theory. In this one, we will talk about the first three KPIs. I will not go through all right now. And the first three, we need to define allele frequency. This is KPI number one. So best defines the allele frequency. So that is, of course, the proportion of a specific allele among all the alleles for a particular gene in the population. So that's the definition of the allele frequency. And don't forget that alleles mean copies or alternative forms, alternative forms of a gene. So like A and A, B and B, whatever. So these are the alternative forms. Now, the next one, we need to know about the Hardy-Weinberg principle. Hardy-Weinberg principle, it has five, uh, like Hardy-Weinberg equilibrium has five principles. We need to follow those and we need to learn those as it is. So what does he say? Hardy-Weinberg equilibrium can be achieved if you have these five principles. So if these five principles are met accordingly, the population will stay in equilibrium. So number one, we go for large population, large population. Number two, no migration. Number three, no natural selection. No natural selection. Number four, no migration, no natural selection. Random mating. Random mating. And the last one, no mutation. So here I can write no mutation. So if you achieve these, If you achieve these, you can go for the equilibrium. That's called as the Hardy-Weinberg equilibrium. But if any of these principles is not met, it will lead to violations, and these violations will result in evolution. So you should know so there is a question down. I will just go down here. So you have violations and you need to say the consequences. So before this one, we need to say a large population of the salamanders is living in certain ecosystem and individuals of this population are mating randomly. So we have already large population. Okay, so this is principle number one. Mating randomly, random mating, this is principle number two. List two other conditions. So please remember over here, they want you to other. Mean five principles we study, two are given to you already, a large population and random mating. Now you need to say two more out of the three. So you can say no mutation and no migration, no migration, and then you can say the no natural selection. But please don't repeat the one which are given already. So given to you, the given to you are already here. Large population and non-random mating. They are given already. Don't write them again. If you write them again, you lose marks. So you need to write the different ones. There is violation. They are asking you to write the consequence. Of course, if the population is small, then chances of the events will be more, like you can learn them, the consequences. The consequence will ultimately saying something that it's going to cause mutation. This is not included in the current exam. So we will look on the ones which are included in the current exams. So these are all afters. Okay, speciation and adaptive radiation, all these. Okay, let's go back. It means the multiple choice. So these two questions are the one which are related to the exam, and then we will see up the five principles. Okay, which of the following is not result would not result in Hardy-Weinberg equilibrium? Yani violation. You need to find what is the violation in this question that will not lead us to the Hardy-Weinberg principle. Number one, a certain species of the birds will only select and mate with specific. So there is a violation related to random mating. So this is the one which will not let it to be in equilibrium. A few individuals from a different population are introduced into a new and mate. So this is migration. They are migrating. So again, this is a violation. The presence of a large population, we need large population and there is large population. So this is not a violation. So this event will not result in anything. So the only two are one and two. The third KPI was to calculate the allelic frequencies. So we need to remember the formulas. P plus Q is equal to 1, where P is the dominant allele. P is dominant allele and Q is recessive allele. The sum of these two alleles should come to 1, and we use this equation when you want to find allele frequency. And there is another equation that's called as P square plus 2PQ plus Q square is equal to 1, where P square is homozygous dominant, the PQ is heterozygous, and Q square is homozygous recessive. You use this equation when you want to find the genotypes, when you want to find the genotypes like P square, like PQ, and like Q square. So then you use only these equations. But ultimately, for this equation, you need the first equation also. So if you want to find P square, it means you must need to find P, and P you can find from the first equation. Question 27. In a population of dominant allele frequency, P is 0.20. So I'm going to write here P is 0.20. What is the frequency of the heterozygous dominant? So just quickly write here PQ is to find out, but it's not only PQ, you must put 2 to it. So we have P, we need to find PQ, but Q is missing. So you can find Q, that is the missing one. So P plus Q is equal to 1. Q is equal to 1 minus P. That is 1 minus 0.2. And the answer is 0.8. But please don't choose the answer right away. There is an option D that says 0.8. That's not the answer. Okay, we just found Q. Now 2PQ is equal to 2 into 0.2 into 0.8. So 8 2 times 16, 16 2 times 32. So 0.32. So this is the answer. No, the answer is B. But if someone stop only until here where you find Q, that was the 8.8. So you can also get the 0.8 as answer, but that was not answer. Question 28. In a population of the rodents, the frequency of the dominant allele, that is P, is zero point 0.4. What is the frequency of the homozygous recessive? So you need to find Q square. So again, P is equal to 0 0.4, Q is equal to 1 minus P, 1 minus 0 0.4, that is 0 0.6. And you want to find Q square, so just take the square. Q square is equal to 0 0.6 square, that is 0.36. Again, the answer is 0.36. That was 0.32. So this is how you work for these.